Did you know 20 to 25% of women will develop an episode of severe depression during their lifetime, and women are twice more likely to develop depression than men. Periods in women's life where depression is more likely is around puberty, postnatal, perimenopause, and menopause. And during perimenopause and menopause, a woman is 4 times more likely to develop depression. So this is very important to understand, because that means that 1 every 4 women or 1 every 5 women will develop severe depression during their lifetime. So today I'm intending to bring some light, clarity and understanding on this topic, so we can better understand and support each other. So let's dive deep into what depression is. So depression is a cluster of symptoms, and it's also on a spectrum. So from a mild depression to a quite severe depression, there is big difference between both, but they're both depression. And the cluster of symptoms often is associated with sadness, with lack of energy, with low mood or mood changes. It could be irritability in some cases as well. And then the sleep will be affected, appetite will be affected, and energy levels will be affected as well. Some people even report a sense of numbness or a sense of apathy and lack of interest for things that they before used to enjoy. And as I said before, because this is a spectrum, you might see someone that's still able to function on an everyday basis, even though they're carrying all the burden of this low mood. And on the very severe spectrum, there is people that need to be hospitalized because it's very severe and they're no longer able to function in society. So this is very important to understand, because when we come across someone that is experiencing depression, is very commonly when people knew somebody that was hospitalized and then they come across another person that is suffering from a milder version, they can completely invalidate that experience, saying that person is not depressed because they know another one that it was really depressed. And because this is a spectrum, we need to understand that the person is still being affected, and it's affecting the sleep, the appetite, the energy levels, and the enjoyment. It's a lack of joy in general that these people might experience. So let's understand what might be the underlying causes of depression. And this is another very important aspect to understand, because most of the time, from a medical viewpoint, depression is seen such as a neurotransmitter imbalance, and people are putting on certain medications that are antidepressants. But the underlying causes of depression can be biological and can arise from, as we can see, women are more likely during periods of hormonal transition. So hormonal imbalances and fluctuations are a major underlying cause of depression, or for depression. And then we get also neuroinflammation. Neuroinflammation causes, obviously, inflammation within the brain, and that can affect the way neurotransmitters are expressed. Then we get imbalances within the microbiome. And some people ask, how comes the microbiome, it has an impact on the way the brain functions? Well, we call the brain-gut axis, which is a bidirectional communication between the brain and the gut. And what happens is, in the past, we used to think the brain carries more of the information towards the gut, but it's actually the other way around. And there is more information going from the gut to the brain. And there is modulation of even serotonin by different, microbial species that live in the gut. Then we got another prominent psychosocial environmental factor, such as social isolation. And that is very prominent those days, because most people are usually working long hours or living far away from people that would be a supportive system. and a lot of people don't have communities that can support them. So that is a very important aspect. And how this affects, it affects directly because, through lack of support, but also when we don't have enough support, and the brain look at this and interprets this as a stress response. So the body goes into a heightened stress response with high cortisol, and when we got chronic cortisol activation, then this leads to immune dysregulation, and immune dysregulation leads to high inflammation in the body and inflammatory processes that lead to depression. And that's how it actually works physiologically. This is very important to understand because a lot of people that are feeling depressed, they're going to see a therapist, and they're going, usually the standard of treatment is cognitive behavioral therapy, and in some cases people get antidepressants. But because the underlying causes could be, as I said before, hormonal imbalances, it could be related to neuroinflammation, could be related to microbiome imbalances, and also social isolation, and obviously there is other factors also implicated. But if we're not attending to the underlying cause of the problem, then that's why it's very hard to resolve the problem. And you might be thinking, how do you know? Well, that's why people like me, I'm a naturopathic practitioner, and I'm a clinical nutritionist and functional medicine practitioner, and that's my expertise. So I'm able to assess your body from all different aspects and then determine whether the underlying causes of your symptoms are rising. And then once we attend to those underlying causes, then the problem can be fully resolved. So I hope this brought some light to you and understanding. And if you know someone, or if yourself are going through a period of depression, just reach out. And until the next podcast or information, I will see you then.